There we go.
Okay, so we are recording. So tonight we're going to talk about things that are all near and dear to our hearts, and that is eating and nutrients and why we do it, etc. So I know I can't, at this point, I can't see all of you, but I want to ask a question, and that is why do we eat? Anybody want to shout out why we eat? Nobody?
Well, besides being hungry for sustenance.
I knew somebody was going to say hungry. And I almost said, don't tell me hungry, okay?
Eat to fuel our lives.
Fuel our body, that's right. That's really why we're supposed to eat. The thing is that we eat, yes, because we're hungry. And when we're hungry and we eat, we normally don't eat the right food. But eating really is the fuel for our body to keep our body functioning, but not necessarily just the physical body, but every part of our body, to include the brain. And what we're going to talk about a little bit is what we need in our body, why, etc. So we eat to obtain and maintain radiant health, okay? And unfortunately, eating through our consumer bought food, we're not going to get enough of the nutrients that our body needs. You absolutely cannot get enough of nutrition. People always say to me, I get tired of taking supplements. Okay? If people want to mute for now until you want to talk, that would help. But people always say, you know, the hardest part about the programs is all the supplements, even after I'm maintaining, you know, you say I should keep on taking certain supplements and this and that. And that is actually true, okay? It'd be kind of like saying I graduated college or high school, whatever it might be, and thank goodness I did. I never have to read again. I don't really have to think again. I'm never going to have to study again. And that is totally untrue. So when we do programs, our life is going to be made up of taking certain things to help our body to maintain good health. And I was just talking to a gentleman this morning. He lives in Florida, and he is suffering from cancer. And we have him on some protocols. And he told me this morning that as soon as he said, I get lazy and I quit taking the supplements. And then all of a sudden I start feeling really bad and I get sick, and then I end up in the hospital. And then my wife gets me home, and then I start taking everything because, you know, she gets on my case and tells me I need to take them. Then I start feeling better. Then when I feel better, I get lazy again, and it's just a cycle. Well, the problem is that the nutrients is keeping him feeling better because we're boosting the immune system. And to maintain radiant health, we have to maintain a strong immune system. If we don't, our body is going to break down. Now, I'm not going to tell you that if you don't take supplements, you're going to get cancer. That's not what we're saying at all. I just want to make that clear. But we're never, ever going to get to a point in our life where we're going to get enough nutrition. Just like we're never going to get enough education. We're never going to get enough spiritual wellness. We're not. All those things are just constant things in our life, and we have a choice. We can either say, you know what, I'm not going to do it, and then worry about where your body is going to go and what's going to happen. Or you can say, I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of myself and do the things that I might not be crazy about doing every day, but I do it for my health or my family's health, or, you know, because I have mothers to take care of, or my parents to take care of, or children to take care of, or I just want to be around and be able to function. So that is why we eat. And that is why we talk about the different nutrients that our body needs in order to keep people from becoming unhealthy before their time. So we do that, and just to make sure, I want to let everybody know that there's never a time in our society today where we can say that the food you purchase, the food you buy, whether it's organic or all this stuff, is going to give you all the nutrients that you need. Because every food there is has certain nutrients in it that the body needs for all the different parts of the body. So we're going to go into talking about the food. So the food we eat normally is what we call a SAD diet, okay? Standard American diet. So the food doesn't have everything we need to thrive. And unfortunately, most of the time we eat food that doesn't have any nutrients, and it's called empty calories. We do it because we're hungry, because it looks good, it smells good. That's what we do. It's fast, it's easy, all those kind of things, which actually depletes the nutrients from our body. So people who eat badly, they need more nutrients and supplementation than somebody who might. So a lot of the times when we start talking about nutrients, is the body will tell me when we do our scanning, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, I can tell who's been eating well and who has not been eating well. And based on that, it tells me what nutrients we need. And that's the way that it's geared in order to say, this is what John needs in order to be healthy, okay? So we have to, number one, look at the foods we want to eat. And if you're not eating healthy, if you're eating the chips and the candy and the French fries and the fast foods, you need help, a lot of help. And most of the time when we go through a weekend or something goes on or a vacation and we don't take care of ourselves, we don't feel well. So we want to talk about the diet spectrum. And when I say diet, I'm not talking about going on a diet. I'm talking about your eating habits, okay? And so we're going to talk a little bit about where we are and where do you want to be. So let's start out with where you are. So if you're a person that says, I only eat clean, unprocessed foods, congratulations. And if you do, you need probably a very limited number or amount of nutrients. And what will happen is probably the only nutrients you would need are from the foods that you don't like. So if there's food, let's say you don't like avocados or you don't like certain things like that, and you never ever eat that type of food, then those nutrients you wouldn't get. So therefore your body would say, I need this particular nutrient to help my body. Now, the people that are 100% eating clean is very, very rare, if not non-existent, all right, especially in our society. So if there's anybody that's listening that says that they're eating 100%, take yourself off mute and shout really loud, because I want to know who you are, okay? Because I want to congratulate you. I don't hear anybody. Okay. Anyways, the next one is 80%. Okay. I only eat processed foods for special occasions and events. These are the type of people who is a great place to be. It's meaning that you have balance. You're in moderation. We call it 80-20. In fact, a lot of times when I work with people with severe autoimmune deficiencies, especially cancer, we put them on what we call 80-20 diet. 80% though is raw and organic. The other 20% can be cooked moderately, but still organic. So there's still no processed foods involved. But 80-20 when it comes to the quality of food is probably the line that most people want to be. And the next one is 50%. 50% mix of clean and processed foods. If we're doing 50%, it's probably a lot better than the majority of people that are out there, but it's still meaning 50-50. It's kind of like, you know, sometimes I feel like it, sometimes I don't. And unfortunately, because of the way the food is, when we start doing 50% of the stuff that's not healthy, it almost leans us to an addiction to wanting that type of food more and more and more. And I think most of you would agree that when we eat like that, we have a tendency to eat way too much of the unhealthy 50%. And then we find ourselves much more on the line of eating poorly. Okay, the next one is 25%. That's the person that's occasionally will have some veggies and fruit, you know, when it's handy, when I have time, but mostly I am, you know, I just grab and eat on the run. I just don't have time for anything. And this type of person is going to find themselves unhealthy. They're going to find themselves down the road hurting. Their body's not going to be functioning in time. And yet a lot of the people that 25% will say, well, you know, they only remember the times they ate the vegetables. Oh yeah, you know, last week I had this big bowl of vegetables. But unfortunately, the other 20 meals of the week was nothing except processed food. So those people are gonna pay the price. So it's very much like the person who says, tells me, you know, I take my supplements when I remember, or, you know, I only do them once in a while in the mornings because at night I'm tired and I forget, etc. So therefore, they're really not getting the nutrients. They're just kind of going through the motions. And when we live our life like that, and anything that we do, it's not going to work in the long run. And then we have the 0%. Hopefully, if anybody is on there that does this, please don't shout because I don't want to know. Okay, and people that eat only processed. Now, believe it or not, there are people that eat this way. They only eat processed because why? You know, if it's in a box or a bag and it takes less than 60 seconds to make it, hey, I'm in. I don't have time. I don't, you know, I don't have the patience. I don't know how to cook. I don't want to know how to cook. It's just easier if I do it. And then people go through, you know, the drive-throughs and it's already cooked, it's hot, it smells good, all those kind of things. And we make excuses, just like we do in many other things in our life, that, you know what, this is the way it is, this is the way I am, and it's working for me. You may feel it's working for you, but unfortunately, the best thing that could ever happen is when we eat a lot of processed foods, that we get sick. We get sick immediately, and our body starts to break down immediately, because then we'd realize what's wrong. We'd realize that, you know what, this isn't working. But unfortunately, in the nature of the body and the way the body is made and the way the good Lord put our body together, is our body fights and tries to protect itself. So we don't see the problems until later on. And then most of the time, it's much later on. And most of the time, because it comes on us so slow, that we just don't realize that it's happening until there's a total breakdown, until it collapses. And that's the unfortunate thing. And medicine, oftentimes, I won't say often, most times, don't talk to us about our eating. Again, a lady that we're working with in Arkansas called me today, and you know, she had some cholesterol issues. Well, when she went through our program, she got off of the medicine because it really bothered her a lot, and she wanted to get off. Well, once she got off of it, she kind of let herself go, and then the next thing you know, she's gets a physical and they say your cholesterol is too high. They put her on a medication, another one, because she said the first one didn't work because I didn't like it because it bothered me. I had trouble sleeping. This one, so they said, well, we'll give you a different one. And they put her on a different one. Well, this one made her go into anxiety attacks and everything else. So they called her up and they said her creatine levels got so high. They told her, stop taking it. Don't take another capsule or pill because everything's so out of range because of the medicine. And we start relying on medicine, but yet we say, I can't rely on nutrients. And that's kind of the mode of our medical community. We've gotten used to that I'll do it when I have to. Oh, the medicines give me a side effect. So now they're trying to find something else for her, which I'm sending her as of tomorrow morning, a natural cholesterol statin so that it can break down the cholesterol for her and get her digestion better. And she said, you know, I have to because she's taking care of her mother and her sister and her husband who has dementia, and her sister's got all kinds of problems. So she said, I have to be around to help them. And I can't have all these issues. So long story short is we have to let the body heal itself. And we do that by putting the right nutrient in our body and not be relying on the drugs. And last is what we call the yo-yo diet, okay? I often refer to as a roller coaster, but yo-yo or roller coaster doesn't matter. You know, one moment we're eating clean, you know, by golly, I'm going to eat clean. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of gaining weight, etc. And then all of a sudden, the next afternoon or next meal, it's, well, I'm too busy and I ate good for breakfast this morning, so I'm okay to eat lunch. And we're back and forth, up and down. And that's very, very hard in the body. You know, trying to get in our mind that I'm going to eat healthy. And then when we don't eat healthy, we get upset with ourselves. It's like we're defeated, we lost, we failed, etc. And so psychologically, as well as physically, we become beat down. We just get tired of it. And then a lot of people just throw up their hands and go, you know what, nothing works. It's not worth it. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's the worst thing that we can do, is become defeated because of our own bad habits. So what we want to talk about after that, if there's anybody has any questions on that slide, let me know. I'll give you a moment to unmute and ask a question if you want to, or put it in a chat box. If you have anything, put in the chat box if you want. You can ask questions or raise your hand or just shout out, okay? What is holistic nutrition? All right. Holistic nutrition is all natural ingredients from plants that are used for medicinal use, okay? Now, the key word there is all natural. And the reason I say that is because all supplements are not all natural. Okay, so I want to repeat that. All supplements, just because it's a supplement, does not mean it's all natural. We have to get into the habit of reading ingredients on your supplementation. If you're not getting them, if you're actually buying them from a store, a drugstore, a grocery store, places that tout that, you know, we're Vitamin World or Whole Foods, please read the ingredients, because they put a lot of things in them that is not all natural. And I get the question all the time, why would they do that? And the reason is because it's cheaper. It's called fillers and binders. And a lot of times it's sugars, and it's things that you would not even imagine that they would put in something that you want to put in your body. There's reports of some stuff that even has sawdust in them, okay? Because they use that as a filler. It's not enough to make you quote unquote sick, but it's enough to fill the capsules. But what does all natural ingredients do? Number one, it improves digestion. Now, when you improve digestion, what happens is that means you're breaking down what's going in your body so that the nutrition in that food or product gets put into your bloodstream so that you get the benefits of it. If we don't digest our food, then what happens is it lies in the intestinal tract and putrefies and becomes toxic, and therefore it becomes a stress to the body. And if you don't get the nutrients in your body, then you're not getting the fuel. So it makes no difference how well you're eating if you don't get good digestion. It improves cognitive health, okay? Meaning our brain, we have to think. Our brain feeds on nutrition. When people get healthy, they think clear. They don't react negatively. They don't get as angry. There's just so many things that happen with our brain, and we just feel that the brain is, just there and it's going to do its thing. But studies have shown that people that develop dementia, develop Alzheimer's, etc., have a huge lack of nutrients in their body. And when when people do pass, unfortunately, and they do autopsies, they find that out tenfold, that the brain has just not been taken care of, just like you would any other muscle in your body. It improves cardiovascular health. Show me somebody who's unhealthy, and I will start showing you people that start having problems with anxiety, heart palpitations. Why? Because the heart, just like the brain, needs nutrients. So every organ in your body needs nutrients. It's not a surprise that, for example, vitamin K is for what organ? Kidneys. Okay, so and it works that way out through the whole body. It improves metabolism. What does metabolism do? Gives you energy. Energy burns body fat. So people that cannot lose weight, people that gain weight very easily, they have a low metabolism rate, meaning the body is not firing on all cylinders to be able to burn whatever calories that are going in the body. Improving mobility and joint health. Joints. How many people do you know that's constantly say, my knees hurt, my hips hurt, my shoulders hurt, everything hurts? Why? Because they're not getting the proper nutrients in their body. Every joint, every tendon, every muscle needs nutrients. If you've ever woke up in the middle of the night and had a leg cramp in your calf or somewhere in your leg especially, that's because you don't have certain nutrients in your body, which would be calcium and magnesium and vitamin D. So then what happens? You don't get the fuel, the muscle spasms and becomes very tight and becomes extremely painful. Hormones. Hormones are the centerpiece of our body, and there are certain nutrients that take care of the hormones to keep our balance, to keep our thyroid functioning. Things like kelp and things like some of the other stuff I should have had in front of you so I just spit them out. But all the different stuff that's in seaweed, that type of thing, is excellent for the thyroid, which the thyroid balances hormones. So when people say, I have no libido, I have hot flashes, night sweats, I'm lightheaded, I'm dizzy, etc. That's all hormone problems. Improving sleep. Now you say, well, what does nutrients have to do with sleep? It has a lot, because certain nutrients calm the body. If you're not relaxed and calm, you're not going to sleep. If your brain is overly tense and you're always worrying and thinking about things, you're not going to sleep. So what happens is everything works together to achieve sustained energy in the body. But when you achieve sustained energy, then you're still going to be able to relax. You're still going to be calm. Your brain's going to work. all the organs will work, etc. And that is why we talk about all natural nutrition and how and when to take it. All right. So the power of plants, okay, vitamins and minerals. So vitamins and minerals fuel our body, our cells to carry out our daily functions, okay? So it fuels the cells. The premium extraction and formulation methods give a high bioavailability, okay? And bioavailability is the amount of usable ingredients in a product. So when I was talking about what they put into the supplements, a lot of the stuff that people buy on the street has very, very limited amount of bioavailability. So because most of the ingredients in it is not usable in the body. And if it's not usable, then it's of no value, plus it becomes a stressor, and then the body has to work through that, which even makes everything worse. So if an example, vitamin D3 is extracted from sheep lanolin, and vitamin C comes from oyster shells, okay? So what happens is if you take some vitamin D and it's not extracted from the right place, it's of no value. The vitamin C, if it doesn't have everything you need, it doesn't give you what you need. Phytonutrients, these are compounds that are used from the plants, okay? And they give the plants when the springtime, when everything blooms and you have the beautiful and vibrant colors, which are necessary for the survival of the plants. You know, the plants don't bloom and look beautiful for our eyesight. That happens because that's how the plant survives and grows within itself, and then gives us the healing properties for that particular plant. And when we ingest these phytonutrients, we receive the same medicinal benefits as a plant does by having those colors. So when nutrients are harvested, it's very important when they're harvested, at what stage of the plant's life is the nutrient harvested, because if it's not done right, then what happens is you don't get the nutrition. So if you eat lettuce that's all brown and wilted and been sitting around, you're not going to get the same nutrition as it was when it was nice and green and crispy. So that's the kind of things that happens when you start talking about why am I taking the vitamins and what difference does it make whether I take this one or this one? This one is cheaper. This one, of course it is. If they can harvest dead plants, if they can do those kind of things, you are actually going to save money because it doesn't cost them hardly anything to use those type of plants. And I always get this word wrong, adaptogenic blends, okay? I've been practicing all day. Now what this is the blending of the ingredients from the different plants that when you take them together every day for a prolonged period of time, they will increase your body's ability to respond better to stress, which stressors include inflammation. Inflammation is a stressor. Invaders and stress hormones like cortisol levels. Cortisol is a hormone that when we become stressed and we're living under a fight or flight mode, we produce too much cortisol. And cortisol can cause all kinds of things. It can cause weight gain. It can cause inability to lose body fat. So many things that it can do. It can affect the brain, wherein we become angry, we become tense all the time, and we can't function. And when all that happens, then we go back to the earlier slide and talks about, how the body is supposed to function. And then we end up not sleeping, and we're tired, we're fatigued, and we become more upset. etc. The brain can't function because I'm just too overly tired to deal with anything, but I have to keep moving. So it's like your car, if you have to go cross country and drive a long ways, but you put in really bad gas or there's water in the gas, it's going to be a long trip, okay? Because the car is just not going to run properly. The same thing happens in the human body. So we want to look at a deeper look at the power of the plant, okay? What is the plant? Amazingly, if we eat from the earth, that is what we really want to do. And there's a group of compounds that are found in plant foods, okay, that are beneficial for our health. And they're found in most plant-based foods like fruits, vegetables, herbs, good teas, even some in things like red wine. Now, please think about the vegetables and fruits before we get to the red wine, okay? And even a little bit in dark chocolate. Now, people that are on Candida programs and stuff, there are certain things you can't do, even though that has some of the nutrients, it'll feed the wrong things. So we have to use discretion, okay?
Sorry, so dark chocolate, and that's not a candy bar.
No.
That's your like 80% plus of a good cacao bar.
Right.
Just wanted to get that out there.
Yes.
It's not from Hershey's.
It's not the dark, yeah, Hershey bars.
Oops.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we have what we call polyphenols. They act as antioxidants in the body, which means they help to protect the body and neutralize free radicals that cause damage to cells. Free radicals are the angry terrorists in our body that just go through and destroy and cause damage to our cells. And they're highly reactive to oxygen molecules produced by normal cell processes, okay? Like radiation, air pollution, smoking, and chemical exposure. So what happens is they protect the body from all this stuff. Now, if somebody has to go through radiation, then you have to increase the amount of these nutrients in order for the body to balance. One of my biggest problems I have with conventional medicine is when somebody gets sick or with cancer, et cetera, they tell them don't take anything that will strengthen the immune system. And I just find that so bizarre. But again, we always tell people, listen to your doctor, do whatever you feel is right for you. But I honestly believe if something happened to me, I would be pumping nutrients in my body like crazy. I never forget about 6-7 years ago, I'm going to guess, I came up with a little, looked like a pimple on my neck, and it started getting itchy. And I remember asking Patty about it, and I said, what does that look like? And she said, it was on my left side. She said, oh, it looks like a little pimple, but it looks like it's kind of moving or something. And a few days later, probably 2 days later, I called Dr. Nelson and I said, I have this thing on my neck, and I told her what it was doing. And it was kind of moving up past my ear. And she said, that is shingles. And I thought, my goodness, I thought I was healthy. And I said, what do I do? Here I am taking all my stuff and I get shingles. And of course, her explanation, for those of you who know Dr. Nelson, she said, well, you had chickenpox, you had this and that. So here's what you do. You double and triple your daily and your vital every day. Do it 2 or 3 times. And I'm telling you, in 2 days, it was gone. But I just pumped it hard. And she said, of course, what I tell all of you, water, 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 rest, get away from stress. So I gave Patty a couple of days off. This did not would have given me more stress. But it went away. And that just shows what the proper nutrients are and how beneficial it can be to the body instantly, okay? I had another incident one time. My left elbow swelled up. And again, my go-to was Dr. Nelson. I said, my elbow's full. I don't know what, I don't think I did anything. There's no bites, there's nothing. She said, get your foot bath, put it on a counter or something, put your arm in it for 30 minutes or whatever. And I'm like, that's not gonna, and lo and behold, the water was so nasty. It was green and it was a slimy. But you know what? The elbow, that problem went away and it never bothered me again. Of course, she did tell me double up on your daily and your vital and your vitamin D, and which I did all that at the same time. And by the next day or so, it was gone. And you know, if we were saying this to conventional medicine, they'd say, oh, that's baloney. That doesn't happen. But it does happen. I'm telling you. Okay. So some of the things, let me give you an example. Antibacterial plants, dandelions, golden seal, burdock root, echinacea. Antimicrobial, ginger, cloves, fennel. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, which we're going to talk about inflammation in our next class. But those are things like,
Astaxanthin.
yeah, okay, that's intervital. Resveratrol, vitamin A, alfalfa, devil's claw, turmeric root. Antiviral things are kelp, algae, chlorella, and spirulina. And then probiotics is garlic, wheat bran, konjac root, psyllium. Stress relievers are hops and catnip. And if all of these things I just called off are in our product, okay? But the thing is, it has to be done in a way that it's put together so that it all works together. So it works together synergistically to help to heal the body on a regular, everyday basis. Now, if you don't take the stuff that your body needs, your body can't heal. Whether it's eating right, whether it's taking the right nutrients, anything like that, your body's not going to heal because you're not giving it the nutrients that it needs. I go back to my situation, those two I mentioned. I didn't have to keep taking them once stuff went away, but I still took some. I didn't have to double and triple that way. But I always take supplements twice a day, regardless of how tired I feel or whatever. I take them. That's part of my routine. And I just tell myself, this is what I do. It's just like getting up and brushing my teeth in the morning. It's just something I do. So we have to get in that mindset if we want to be healthy. So a question we always get, will one supplement do the trick? And I know you all know what I'm going to tell you. The answer is no, okay? Because you cannot put all the nutrients in a capsule and they work together. Synergy does not allow that to happen. So when people go and buy a vitamin, they say, oh, this product has calcium, magnesium, vitamin E, or vitamin D, etc., all in one, and just take one. When you see that on infomercials, it is not true. It cannot happen. What they do is they take some of those things and they put them together, and then they have to chemicalize it in order for it to hold together. But you're not getting the nutrition, and you're getting a chemical also in your body. So what happens is you have to separate certain things in order for it to break down properly in the body. And in order to get everything that you need to operate at a higher level, okay? When you eat a variety of things, fruits, vegetables, proteins, etc., understand that we cannot eat enough to get all the nutrients that we need. You just cannot do it. And you'd have to eat virtually every type of fruit, every type of vegetables, every type of protein and products that have probiotic, and eat all of them in order to give the body everything it needs to produce at the level that we need it to produce. And understand that as we age, we need more good nutrition than we did when we were young. And that is why someone in their 20s. Tomorrow I've got a consultation with a young man. I think he's probably in his teens. But whatever he needs, his parents said that he's got a lot of ADD, ADHD, etc. But that's all from lack of nutrition. And of course, I asked, what does he like to eat? Sugar, everything is sugar and breads. Okay. We have a question. Does plant-based yogurt have probiotics? And the answer is yes, it does. All right. It's a moderate amount. But again, you're not going to be able to eat enough in order to get perhaps all the probiotic you need. And so I'm going to kind of piggyback off that question a little bit. And I thank you for asking the question. Do you have to take probiotic all the time? And the answer is no, you do not. At times, your body has enough probiotic. A lot of it depends on what's happening in the intestinal tract. If you're eating enough things that have probiotic in it, you don't. And that's one reason that we test people for on our Zytoscan, because then I can tell, do you need probiotic in your system at this time? If you need it now, doesn't mean you're going to need it in a month from now. If you need vitamin C, it doesn't mean you're going to need that amount forever. It just doesn't. But our body changes depending on how we are eating, what is our stress levels, what have we been doing, etc., to our body. So the nutrients are the fill-in gaps to fulfill the nutritional complexity required for optimum health. That's what nutrients are. But of course, when somebody comes in and they're really unhealthy, they've got stomach problems, they've got migraines, they've got skin issues, hormone issues. Yes, you need a lot to do it, but you should not. If you learn to eat right, that number decreases significantly over time. And sometimes when I do scans of people that are healthy, sometimes you need 1 or 2 things, sometimes you need 5 or 6 things. It just depends on where you're at and what your body's looking for and how healthy you want to be. Okay. How does one know what foods they might be allergic to, i.e. eggs, soy, dairy? Okay. First of all, I'm going to, I'll read the question. Go ahead and read the question while I take a drink of water.
How does one know what foods they might be allergic to, such as eggs, soy, and dairy? Okay.
You will know by the way, when you eat it, what happens. Okay. Everybody has lactose intolerance. So we could say that virtually every human being is allergic to dairy. We could honestly say that, all right? Everybody to a different degree, depending on the condition of their body. But we should not be eating a lot of dairy anyway. Goat cheese, goat milk, those things are fine. You're not going to be allergic. If you're allergic to goat milk, then you've got another problem. You have to understand that when we're allergic to something, it means other than the obvious, okay, like dairy and poisonous things that we might eat, but anything like the other vegetables, we're not allergic to vegetables. If you have a reaction to a vegetable, it's because your immune system is weak and your body is misreading whatever it is. And therefore it creates a reaction because your body thinks it's bad for it. And it's called innate intelligence. Your body says, this is not going to work for me. So it creates that reaction. And we say, I'm allergic to it. Then we say, don't eat it. Okay, that's okay if that's what you want. But then you need something to replace what that nutrition that food would have given you. Soy, I'm not crazy about people doing soy because soy is a precursor to estrogen. And estrogen can be a precursor to many unhealthy things in our body. But a little bit of soy, you should not be allergic to. But there was a day, some of us a little bit older, that soy was the rave. Everything was soy. If you want to be healthy, soy. The problem is it created issues with breast cancers and different hormone issues, okay? Because too much soy isn't good for you, but moderation is fine. But you have to test your body, try a little bit of it. And I've worked with many people who told me I am definitely allergic to a certain food. And when they're done with the program, they want to eat that food, and I tell them it's fine. But if you're afraid of it, have your EpiPen ready. Have a little tiny amount. And I'm going to tell you, I have not had anybody who followed the protocol and programs that when they were done, they were still allergic to that product, that food. It just changed because you rebuilt your immune system and your body understood that it was a good thing. All right. So I hope I answered that question. If I didn't, send me another message and I can get into it or answer anything else. Okay. Okay. Why do we use Malefice? Okay. And I use Malefice for a variety of reasons. Number one is, and most is because it works. Okay. Number two is because it is pure. Okay, just looking for
Sorry, folks. Yes, we're here.
okay.
No.
Okay. It's pure. There is absolutely nothing in the product that is not real. It is, okay, there are no fillers. Malefice uses 100% usable ingredients. There's absolutely no fillers, no starch, no cellulose, no sawdust, okay? There's no binders. So Malefice uses all natural formulations that naturally bind ingredients. So they get rid of the things like talc and titanium dioxide, which is in a lot of the products that are out there, okay? They're non-pressed, meaning they're not press tabs. So many people buy press tabs. They're hard. The body can't break them down. The veggie caps will absorb within 60 seconds. Excuse me. Which means if you put them in your mouth and you don't have water handy, they will dissolve, and all of a sudden everything in there you will be tasting. And if it's the vital, the enzyme, the tranquility, you will not like the taste, period, end of conversation, okay? And you will say, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And it does, but it's all raw plant that your body needs. The capsules are made out of vegetables. There's not, people tell me, all this plastic, there is no plastic. It's vegetables. They're called veggie caps. Press tabs have at least 20%, have at least 20% or less of usable ingredients. And most of the time they do not digest at all. You end up eliminating them, or they sit in the colon. The calcium can get into the breast, and we call that calcification. So sometimes doctors will tell women, don't take any more calcium because you have calcification. Well, that's because you're taking the wrong calcium and it's not breaking down, okay? There's no added chemical or artificial sweeteners. So they avoid all these things like ACE-K, Splenda, Sweet and Low, Red 40 coloring, Blue 2 and Yellow 5s. All that stuff is avoided because of the fact that it's all natural. The other thing, everything is produced in FDA certified labs. So they inspect everything. They call it GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices, okay? And it's compliant with the FDA. They monitor, they inspect it. Of course, you have to pay for, we pay for all that to make sure that nothing goes in it that shouldn't be in there. There's many other reasons that, we use it. They use all raw materials that are purchased and inspected and sorted prior to the milling. Okay. I was talking to someone who sells supplements, and they were telling me that they, a lot of places, they will take the plants, and when they're not, people complain about it, so they take them back and then they put them in something else and they sell them to somebody else. Because a lot of places don't pay any attention to all this stuff. But those are the reasons that, some of the reasons that we use a Malefice product. And it's, for me, I will never recommend a product that has something in it that is detrimental to the body. We work too hard, and people work too hard and want to be healthy. So the people that want to be healthy and that we take care of, we owe it to them to only give them the product that is going to be most beneficial and advantageous to the human body.
Okay, so I'll follow up on the question about being allergic to egg, soy, or dairy. Are there certain foods that cause insulin resistance? And what is insulin resistance?
Okay, insulin resistance is your body's inability to break down sugars, to process the sweets that we put in our body. Okay, and it's a problem with the pancreas, primarily the large intestines, the colon, and the liver. So if you're insulin resistant long enough and you don't take care of yourself, you can move into a diabetic state. And that's what insulin resistance is. So diabetics have been insulin resistant for a long time. All of us at some point are insulin resistant. If that is why sometimes when you don't eat, or you've been eating badly and then you start changing, you'll get lightheaded, you'll feel dizzy, etc., because you have an insulin resistant issue. But it's not uncommon at any time because our sugar levels go up and down. Or you can go and get tested for A1C, and that number will change periodically because we don't always eat the same, or we don't always eat right. And so that changes, just like our body fat changes, just like anything else in our body changes based upon our lifestyle. If you're overly stressed all the time, then your insulin resistance increases. So if you eat poorly and you're stressed and you're not sleeping, you're going to have an insulin resistance issue. So the bottom line is, to answer that question, you have to fix the problem within the body and the lifestyle sometimes in order to fix that particular problem. Okay. All right. Where were we? How do we know which supplements are right for you? Now, what I'm going to tell you is that a lot of people, they take the same supplement forever and ever. Why? Well, that's what my doctor told me. Take that. The women that become pregnant, they'll put them on prenatal and press tabs and all the stuff that we just talked about. And you're taking them because you're getting the nutrients for a child that you're carrying, and yet we're putting stuff in the body that does nothing or becomes a stressor. It's because medicine doesn't study nutrients. So how do we know from month to month, whatever it might be, what should I be taking? And that is through our cytoscan. I can't stress how important it is to know what you need at that time. And it's called galvanic skin response, for those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it because of sake of time. And you know me, I like to get talking. But what does it do? Our skin is electric. Okay, and even though the skin, we touch it, we move it, it's a versatile organ. It's not only smooth and often nice to look at, but it helps to regulate many functions of the body. It acts as a barrier against environmental threats, contains nerve cells that detect changes such as temperature and pressure. It can heal itself. and keeps your body at a steady temperature if you're healthy. It also responds to changes or stimuli. It can be measured accurately via what we call galvanic skin response. And a lot of people think, oh, that sounds kind of weird or geeky. But in reality, it reveals so much about the individual, both physically and emotionally and nutrient-wise. Okay, the skin is a good conductor of electricity. So even when you have a very weak electrical signal, it can be measured. And that's a great thing. So it's the same theory as a lie detector test. Why does the lie detector test work? Because the skin measures the changes in the body. For a lie detector test, it's the emotions. They ask you a question. Did you do such and such? And the person goes, nope. But inside the body, you can't fool the body. We think we can. Remember when you were kids and your parents said, did you spill that? And you went, not me. How do they know? Okay. Well, your voice, your skin changed, might have got flushed, etc. How do parents know all the time? You're not telling me the truth. All right. So it's nothing more than that's why the Zytoscan uses voice and uses skin conductance in order to be able to tell what is going on. What happens on a Zytoscan, for example, this is somebody that we did, we just took out the name. It tells us the areas that we're looking at, what we call core areas, which is detoxification system, which is the body's ability to get rid of stuff that's in your body that shouldn't be there, things we eat, breathe, and drink. Your gastrointestinal system, which is everything from the organs that from the time you put something in your mouth to eliminate stools. Your hormone system, which is the things we talked about earlier, and your immune system, your body's ability to protect itself. Now, those are the four cores of our body. Then I look at lifestyle, diet, nutrition. How has a person been eating? Hydration, inflammation, mental, emotional stress, sleep, and toxic stress. So in this person right away, we can see that the number one thing, they're having a sleep problem. And the sleep problem, they may tell me, no, I sleep well, but you're not getting rest. You can have your eyes shut. You can be in bed for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, but not be getting proper sleep. Hydration is a problem. The zero means the body isn't getting nearly enough. So everything you want in moderation. You don't want zeros and you don't want long red lines. So we look at that to put together where the body is struggling at that time. Now, maybe this person was going through a lot of stress. Maybe they were, something was going on in their life. Maybe somebody was sick. I don't know, okay? But they were struggling with sleep. And it doesn't matter what the problem is, even if it's temporary or long-term. Now we need to feed the body the right nutrients to try to solve that problem with a nutrition to calm the body so the person can rest. So it tells me what product they need. In this case, the number one thing they needed was digestive enzymes. So what I do is I look and see what they need. And so in this case, it was digestive enzymes, fiber, and the third one was something for parasites. Okay, so the top three things were for the intestinal tract. Now, Patty, if you go back, so you'll notice that the gastro system was a little bit stressed, but the gastro system and the detoxification, a lot of the areas intertwine. Detoxification system, again, is the organs that get rid of things. The gastrointestinal system is just about the gastrointestinal, but most of your gastrointestinal system deals with getting rid of things in the detoxification system. So right now, I look back at this and I go, okay, this person needs to take care of their intestinal tract, even though the detoxification system showed more stress and the sleep showed more stress. And you'll see that the nutrition The first three things had nothing to do with sleep. But the intestinal tract plays a huge role in sleep if you're not breaking down nutrients, etc. The G cell is glutathione, which creates energy. The daily essentials is your little packets of calcium and daily and vital and all your basic nutrients. Eventa is the enzyme, but in this case, the enzyme is more important, so I disregard the Eventa. And then I look at number one, the next one would be the deodorant stone. I would ask the person what they're using for deodorant, because that can be a problem. Or I might look at the next two are for hormones. So the hormones may be off. And if your hormones are off, a lot of times you're gonna have trouble sleeping. Okay. So that's kind of a quick how I look at things and say, what does this person need and what can we do to get them on track as best as we can. So moving into that, we need to understand that we have to have clean eating plus holistic nutrients, plus hydration, plus some exercise and movement, which can create 100% optimal health. It's not one thing. It's not one supplement. It's not just supplements. It's all of it. You know, when we eat, we want probiotics and we want vitamin C and protein. We want to fill in the gaps of the things we're not eating, but we need to hydrate and do all those things that we need. So the pillars of health, number one is nutrition. Make sure you pay attention to the food you put in your body. Number two, exercise. It's quality versus quantity. Get out and move. 30 minutes a day. Just move. Get the heart rate up a little bit. You don't have to see if you can run a mile in 4.5 minutes, okay? That's not important. I want longer. You got to balance the hormones, because the hormones, as I said earlier, is a centerpiece. You have to supplement your nutrients or your nutrition. Take proper, healthy nutrients. And then you have to have it in your head to do it all. You have to have the mindset to say, this is how I take care of myself. So if you raise children, you said, this is how I'm going to raise my children so they can grow up to be healthy and educated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you go through everything. But you have to do it for yourself, because if you don't do it for yourself, then you're saying you're not worthy. And if you don't think you're worthy, then we have another problem, okay? So it's got to be mindset. Put in your mind that you're that important to eat right, to take the right nutrients, to get some exercise, to hydrate, and get your head where it's supposed to be mentally, to say, you know what, I'm important and I'm going to take care of myself. That's my presentation for today. And I want to thank you for joining us. If you have questions, please ask or message if you would rather message us, but I can answer anything. So I'll turn it over to you and let you ask whatever questions you want or have any input. You can come off mute now.
Are the Malefice supplements made in America?
Yes. Everything is made in America.
The supplements that aren't Malefice that you give us, are they, where are they?
America. They're all made in America. Everything I use is made in America.
A lot of them come from Utah,
Yeah.
not just the Malefice systemic formulas. They're in Utah.
Yeah.
Have you been to the plant where they make them?
We have. We have.
So
Well,
Don,
yes.
you mentioned that you had a problem with your elbow and you used the foot bath for that.
Mhm.
Would that work for like other infections? I don't know how you would stick a knee in one of those for any length of time, but sometimes people have what they
Yep.
call carpenter's knee or whatever, where they have swelling underneath their kneecap.
Yeah. Yes.
How would you?
Well, it's hard. It's harder to do it because you'd have to kneel. We'd have to find a position to make it, so for 30 minutes it doesn't hurt, but with the arm, I just put my arm in the water and just sat there, had it up high on a desk or something. But the knees are more difficult. Okay. But we could, depending on what it is, we could probably figure out a way to do it to make it work.
Well, it's nice to know that it can pull it directly from the spot rather than down through your feet.
It was green, like green slime. Remember that?
I do, yeah.
I took my arm out. I was disgusted by it. It was just, I was like,
Well, the water's usually disgusting no matter what, but yeah.
It was different with
Yeah,
your
it's
arm versus your
different,
feet. It was just farther away from my eyes, I guess. But it was nasty. So, we have somebody signed on, but we don't know who it is. Phone CLYTON. You want to tell us who you are? We'd love to know. Anybody else have any questions?
Would that work for eczema too?
I don't know if you put your face in it.
No, people, I didn't get eczema I got it on my hands and my feet when I was younger.
Yeah, it'll help. Yep. Anything, that's the skin breaks out because of what's going on in our body. A lot of people think it breaks out because what's on our body. That's virtually untrue. It's the skin being the largest limited organ in your body. When your body becomes unhealthy and tries to free itself of that, it comes out through the skin.
John, the foot bath that you use, what type of foot bath is that? Is that an ionized foot bath?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, so is that probably the best thing to use? Is there other foot baths that you could use that are just as well? I don't know if there's anything out in the market you can buy that.
Well, there's always knockoffs on everything. I mean, we have had a lot of people buy things, $200. They don't work. But the best thing you can do is just come in and do a foot bath once in a while.
Right. And can I ask you also if I know people that have Lyme and they are always having joint pains and different things like that. The supplements may help for a while, right? But I mean, I think Lyme is like a different animal, isn't it?
Okay. Lyme disease is an autoimmune deficiency. Okay.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes, it's because your immune system broke down. Now, what happens with Lyme disease, if it's true Lyme disease, then what happens is you got bit by a tick, and that bite, your immune system was right on the edge and it broke down. Okay. And then we have Lyme disease. And yes, it can be very, very painful. Joints, everything hurts, but that can also be a symptom of many other autoimmune deficiencies. So right away, we don't jump right in and say it's always Lyme disease. I give you the example of you have a tree in your yard, and it looks pretty sturdy. And one day a light breeze comes through, or moderate breeze, and a big old branch falls off. And you think, boy, the wind wasn't that strong. I can't believe it broke that branch. Well, here's the thing. It's just like our immune system. It was breaking down. We just didn't know it. We didn't realize it. And then something happened, slight, perhaps, like a tick bite. And that was what we call the straw that broke the camel's back. It just broke it down. And that's what happens to our health a lot of times. We say, oh, I got bit by a tick, and now I've got this forever and ever, this problem that's never going to go away. Untrue. You were unhealthy when you got bit by that tick, and that alone broke down the system. Or people get bit by a mosquito, now you have this. And in Arizona, when I had one of these in Arizona, they called it valley fever. And it was caused by the cactuses, the
The spores on the cactus?
No, the prickers, the stems. And in there, it's so windy, they blow and they fly through the air sometimes and people get stuck with them, even if you weren't around the cactuses. And then people would come down with what they call valley fever because it's down in the desert. And it turns out to be the same thing. It's an autoimmune deficiency, okay? So with somebody with Lyme disease up here, that's the big thing. That can be a severe case of candida on top of that. There's just many things that happen. But yes, people can get rid of Lyme disease if they do the right thing.
So, okay, so what I got from that was there could be other underlying problems. And it's true that I know that, you know, I have relatives that have that, and they, the doctor tells them they have Lyme. Now, I know that there are so many different strains like Babesia, Bottonella. I mean, I guess what they call co-infections. And that's what, yeah, isn't that what the Lyme brings with it? The
No.
tick, rather?
Well, it does, but it's kind of the same theory as the flu. How many strains of flu are there?
Oh, yeah.
As what?
There's all these strains of flu, and if you have a strong immune system, your body for the most part will take care of itself. Okay, and if you do
Yeah.
get it, it's very minor. So let's think about COVID. How many variants have we had so far? And there's going to be more variants, okay? Just like the flu. So if you take care of your immune system, the odds of you having any problem with it is minimal. So same
Right.
thing, mosquitoes and everything else.
Right. So I agree with that. If you have a strong immune system, you can fight just about anything. But we have been inundated through no fault of our own with the different various things that are flying around in the air, the pollutants in the air and the water and the soil. And I know that probably plays a part in the immune system weakening also.
It does, yes, it does. But I'm gonna go back to something you just said, through no fault of our own. It's not our fault what's in the air. I will give you that. It's our fault that we're not healthy enough so that we can defend ourselves from all those things. That's the fault, okay? So it's our fault to a degree by not, so you can say, okay, you know, my tire went flat because there was the roads were rough. Well, if your tires if you would have kept good tires on the car, those bumps probably wouldn't have made your tire go flat, okay? So what happens is we get this idea that we blame something else when we could be taking care and strengthening our immune system so that doesn't happen. That's
True.
right. So people
True.
will say, "Oh, I got Lyme and now I'm going to be sick forever." No, that is not true. They can fix that and get themselves healthy if they choose to.
Mm-hmm. So that galvanized skin response, that's something new that you got, right? Because I don't remember that when I went there.
Yeah, because when I saw you on the screen today, I had to look twice to see who you were. Yes, it's been that long. No, we've had it for probably 5 years.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it a
Yeah, it's
lot.
been a while.
So that sounds like it's basically just works with what you're deficient in. It doesn't really, I don't know if it really, I don't know too much about it. So you'll probably have to fill me in some other time what that does, because it seems to me that it seems like the hand is laying on this machine. Now, I know a little bit about meridians in your hands and your feet have the meridians in it as well as your teeth. I know that, yeah, that's how, yeah, you can kind of pick up different things on the meridians. I know a little bit about that.
Okay, there's meridians throughout your whole body. Okay?
Yes.
So the body is made up of meridians. So,
Mhm.
but the thing is that, yes, what you should do is take some time to come and see me and do a test, and then you'll see.
Yes, I probably will do that before winter, because once winter sets in, I'm kind of like a bear.
Right, right.
Yeah.
There's a note that says, is Epsom salt hot baths helpful? Yes, they are. Okay, they are helpful. However, they are not going to get rid of everything permanently. Okay, they can help to soothe and calm. They can help with inflammation, stuff like that. But to answer your question, yes, they are helpful. Anybody else? Yes, Maureen.
For jaw pain, would you use the relief and the vital, or the relief and the tranquility, or all three?
For what?
Jaw pain.
Jaw pain. Okay. Well, now jaw pain can come from, if you punch Ed in the jaw, he might have jaw pain. Okay. So it depends on what's causing the jaw pain. If it's from stress and people are tightening their teeth, clenching their teeth,
Yeah.
then yes, it'd be tranquility. If it's been going a long time and it's real sore right here, it could be tranquility and relief. It just depends on the cause of it. Because sometimes if you're overly stressed and you're clenching your teeth, especially when you're sleeping and you don't even know it, then yeah, we need to get the body calmer and relaxed.
Okay, because I have, it's like a TMJ type of thing. And I went to the dentist and stuff, but now I have to fly. And they're saying I could have problem flying because of the pressure and whatever else. And I've been grinding my teeth. So,
Okay. Well, that diagnosis is probably going to stress you out anyway, okay? So just, I don't think that you're flying because the problem that you would have if you have some sinuses going on, because that creates pressure, the thing you want to do is just keep opening your mouth. Why don't you demonstrate how to roll your chin while I talk? Just do that.
My chin.
Roll your chin and that'll pop. If there's pressure up in here in the jaw, that'll pop it, okay?
okay.
Anytime you feel it, I would not get in your head that, oh, now you got to fly to North Carolina that you're going to have problems. Please get that out of your head. You're going to be fine.
Okay. Okay, if you say so.
Then they probably want to prescribe something for you, like something to calm you while you're flying or something. Don't, you'll be fine.
Yeah, because they wanted to give me Valium and I was like,
There we go.
no.
Okay.
Nope.
Wow.
Maureen, do you have WO oil?
Which one's that? What's that?
Have you ever used our WO oil? It's from Systemic. It's just a little glass bottle.
I think you
Oh, I think we do have that.
I would rub that on your jaw.
a tiny
Okay.
amount. Tiny amount. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Who else has a question?
Okay.
Nobody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any feedback? Any? Was that helpful at all?
It was helpful. I do have one question.
Okay, Kim.
I just came through what is my allergy season because I'm allergic to oak. Well, they're past now, so I'm good. But I think I ended up with possibly a sinus infection, but I definitely had the worst sinus headache I've had in a while. Do we have something other than Navage, which I use to flush? Do we have something that takes care of like the sinus congestion? You could still hear it probably.
W oil.
WO oil.
W oil. Do you
And
have
where
that?
would I just hear? Like
Not close to your eyes, no.
Not right in your eyes.
here?
Upper
Sinuses,
sinuses, right around the nose area, right
lower sinuses.
below the cheekbones. Just a tiny amount. You don't.
Yeah, just like dip your finger. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And when I get that way, I'll tip it, and then I'll just kind of sniff it a little bit because that kind of opens it up too. Okay.
Well, it feels fairly open. I still feel sinusy, but I can breathe through both sinuses now. But that day, it felt like somebody had my head in a vice.
I see Karen came on after she got out of work. Hi, Karen.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that you finally showed what a Zyto is, like how it's set up in within the chart and within the numerical values. So that kind of helped bring the visual to that stuff.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is for people that are on our Zoom,